Hey, so it is Friday night. I mean, it's not night yet. It's like 6, not even 7 p.m. yet. But we are walking towards that part of the evening, and I'm gonna go out with my brother. We're gonna have some, fun times together. We're gonna go out to eat, and I'm excited about it. I've been looking forward to this, particular. Going out with him, like, sure, it's fun, but particularly what we're gonna eat. So I'm excited. But the reason why I'm kind of like I started this video right now is that there was a time where I used to make kind of like a habit of making a little video around this time of the evening before it was evening and I was going to go out, just as I am here to assess how the week was and my plans for the next one. Of course I'm not necessarily going to be ignoring everything for the next 2 days. But usually I start Monday, so Monday I would have another video like this of me just talking about things. How was this week? So this week was kind of all over the place, but in sort of a chronological way, because sometimes it feels like I am like doing well one day and then the next I am not, and then I go back to being well, and then I get too well, and then I get bad, and then kind of well, and then not okay, and then I get terribly. So it wasn't so much like that. It felt like a decrease, like the opposite of a crescent, a decrescent. But yeah, it's just that I felt like I was that it was kind of like I was there was like if I were an engine, it's kind of like my fuel tank would be kind of like depleted throughout the week. Today when I ended up going and we did the visit and all that, and it was good, and I'm glad that we went there, but it was kind of like a whole thing for me to get there. Making the cake, the whole baking process was not torturous, but like I had to take it to do it like in installments, because it wasn't really working for me. But in the end I did, and it is what it is. And also I have decided that I'm going to be slowing down in terms of like making desserts, because I've been on like kind of this pace for the past couple of weeks, and I'm like now running low on my battery. I have to bake a cake for tomorrow, so there's already like a commitment that I've already gotten myself into, but there's like some other commitments in the future that I've already kind of like distanced myself from them. I'm just not gonna, I don't know, like it's just, if I'm feeling good in the day, like sure, but it's just like some more visits. So right now I have a promise to bake a cake tomorrow. One, I don't know when the other 2 visits are, but they are in the future. So there's like 3 things in the future that I've kind of like promised to bake a cake, and then it's going to be yeah, it's easy, lemon squeezy. But even for like, because I was doing stuff for like when we were going out and stuff, but it was a lot of like just like very internally, just me doing things here. I'm also putting a break, putting a stop to that for the time being, because as I said, like today was really it was quite something, and then tomorrow I already have to make one, so just taking it easy. But anyways, so how was the week? The week was okay. I think that I was able to meet myself where I was at every single opportunity. Like it was just I was yeah. So like when I had more energy, I did more things. When I had like not as much energy, I did less things. Pretty basic stuff, I know, but sometimes in these transitions I kind of like end up burning myself up, because end up getting myself to do too much when I'm not really there to just be able to meet myself at that point. What do I imagine next week's going to be like? Probably more of the same. So I'm imagining that I'm going to keep on being on this lower level of energy, and then as a consequence I'm going to be more prostrate, and I'll be doing less. I'll be sleeping more, which is good, because it's not that, because I was sleeping less when I was like very but like I didn't really have a need for sleep, so it's not like I was I wasn't feeling tired, because I wasn't tired. It was just yeah, it was just you know, like I was meeting myself at where I was at, which had already used as kind of like an example in this video. But yeah, so my parents are talking and they're just really getting it hard for me to think, which just comes to show that I am really more on lower end of you know, my energy levels, because usually like when I'm like up there, I can just, you know, talk to myself for hours without like all the voices around me, you know, just being loud and obnoxious, and it doesn't really bother me because I'm really focused, I guess on, you know, where I am at. But right now, you know, I'm kind of struggling because they're talking and I'm talking, and like I started talking first, so there's that. But yeah, so my expectations for next week, we do have a few appointments throughout the week. I think there are 2 days that we already are going to go out. We have stuff to do, so I'm already counting on those. So when I'm making my plans, that is kind of like already, you know, it's in the back of my mind that I have some stuff to do. And yes, I'm gonna do the stuff that I have to do, like I will do it, you know. Ultimately that's kind of like how things work, right? It's just that, you know, the extras, you know, like when I'm, you know, and doing more, I have more energy to do more. Like I don't really imagine that being the case. I don't know how long it's going to last, this, you know, me being on lower energy levels, but I think that at least up to like halfway through next week. I don't know yet how that translates, what that translates to, but I think that up to Wednesday, I'm going to be at the same pace that I am right now. I might start, I don't know when I'm gonna hit, you know, my proper rock bottom, because after that, you know, like I'm still gonna be low energy, but I'm going to start to go up. And I don't know. I'm kind of okay with where I am at mentally. You know, like when I started to get lower energy, because when I reach, you know, peak, you know, hype, it was one of those things that I didn't want to stop. You know, I didn't want to slow down, but we were worried that that might constitute mania, so we didn't really want that to be. To kind of like just let that up to fate. So we changed, you know, what was happening. Now I am more on the other hand. So, you know, what exactly do we expect? What exactly do we want from, you know, this moment? Because also like then brings me to the next thing, which is like in general, what are like my plans? You know, not just for next week, because there's specific things I need to do and there's stuff that needs to get to be done. So there's that, but there's also things that like I'm gonna do that it doesn't have to be done, but like if it is done, it is good for me, because then, you know, I have more stuff to, you know, put out there and sell and all that. But there's no pressure, there's nothing really kind of like directing me to like that, to that particular direction. You could say nothing steering me in that direction. So I'm probably gonna watch, you know, stuff that's going to be kind of like the thing for the beginning. Usually what happens when I'm like on lower energy levels, I end up being more of a passive observer, you know, rather than like an active, you know, part of, you know, my life. That could be a problem. Although it feels natural that I'm having this particular, you know, that I'm going through this right now, considering where I was at, you know, before, where I was hyperactive, and you know, like I was scatterbrained and like all over the place and all of that. So, you know, I had that moment, I'm having this moment, you know, where I'm having some peace and tranquility, you could say. So I think that's pretty much what I will be, you know, looking forward to. You know, the peace and tranquility that this point in time can bring me. Of course, it would fucking suck if, you know, my fantasy start to kind of like haunt me. That's usually how I know that, you know, this moment of peace and tranquility has come to an end. You know, maybe it's not ending just yet, but it starts. It's when I start to have, you know, senses they start to come back, and I'm, you know, very much afflicted by them. Yeah, so basically, what was my goal? What are my goals for the future? You know, there's a new semester that is starting, you know, school-wise, academically speaking, and I think that, you know, like this, starting like next week is probably when we're going to start picking up, you know, subjects, and I'm going to pick something, and maybe it's going to work out, maybe it's not. It's going to be the last semester that I'm, you know, majoring in this particular thing. Next semester I'm changing, I'm moving to something else, and, you know, I don't really know what yet, because I do have one idea of like what I want to do. But if that doesn't work out, like I'm not going to limit myself. I'm going to actually, I'm changing. You know, it's time. It's time. Like I've been on this one for a while, and there's been at least a year since I've been very much like, yeah, this is not the direction I'm taking my life in. So you know, like I probably have done this sooner, but you know, it's crisis after crisis, and it's, you know, just breakdown after breakdown, and you just, you know, live in between. Basically, that's how it feels like sometimes. Earlier today, I recorded that other video where I was, you know, I just let my head kind of like just be a little airier than usual, and it was not as airy as I wanted to have recorded. You know, I wanted to just really register those moments where I'm not really there. I'm like, I'm there physically, but not there mentally. My brain is just, you know, somewhere else, and not in a I'm distracted type of way, but in a I am physically capable of, you know, retaining, you know, kind of consistent thinking, cognition, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so that was kind of that was the case for that one. But there's no issue there. You know, like there's no hurry. Like I'm not really in a hurry. I think that is the takeaway from everything. You know, is that there's a path and I'm following it kind of sometimes, and but you know, like there's no hurry. I'm going to, you know, just I'm gonna work with, you know, with things as they come. You know, I'm gonna, you know, be operating at my own pace. You know, I'm going to, and because you know, if I don't, like, what's the fucking point? You know, first of all, like I won't really be motivated to continue, but also I really will not. How do I put it? Yeah, because like, you know, like you need motivations. You need, you know, good things. Like you need long-term and short-term stuff, you know, to motivate you. And sometimes, you know, when you think too much about the long run, you forget, you know, the present. You forsake the present, and that's something I used to do a lot back in the day. But I don't do that anymore, because without anything motivating me to just keep going right now, like what is the point? You know, I need, you know, my little things, my daily things, the things that, you know, get me going. And you know, they're gonna come in many shapes and forms. You just have to meet them as they come. And oi, pera só um pouquinho. Ok.